You said it, Gonzo. And away we go. Woo! Welcome to another Gettin Salty Experience. It's the only show, Ruffy, that what? We bring
the kitchen table to you.
To you bitches. That's right. We bring the kitchen table to you. Tonight we got a little Q&A. We got a little contest prize-winning reveal. And maybe a little something else special. We'll keep it under the hats for now. But as always, brought to you by Pete, where you want to get some cool shit like this.
Oh, yeah. Shalom. Hold on.
Yeah.
Gadoosh. Gettinsaltyapparel.com.
Word. I'm here with my boy, Ruffy.
What up?
Sidekick, Ruffy. Proby Pete.
Shabbat shalom to you on this beautiful Monday.
I did shave. I couldn't take that thing on my face anymore. I don't know how you people do it.
It's a beautiful thing. I trimmed today. Feels nice.
You did?
I don't know how you do it.
It just gets soft after a while. Even after you trim it, too. It stays like soft. It doesn't, it's just, that's all.
I'm getting a haircut tomorrow.
What? Where? I want to get a haircut.
If I take my hat off my head, yeah, you won't believe it.
Which one? What's it look like? You look like the guy Emmett Brown from Back to the Future. The flux capacitor.
Hey, I just want to do one quick thing. Speaking of people in this chat, Bryson Dykes in the chat, man, sent me a helmet, and I'm going to reveal that helmet this coming Thursday. It's for the it's for my favorite thing in the world, this Proby Pete front piece right here. So now I got a helmet to go along with it. It's going to be awesome. And he gave you guys a few gifts as well. So we'll do a little reveal this Thursday night.
Sweet.
Thanks, Bryson. You're the man, dude. Thank you.
Pete, get to it. Hit him or throw him out to us from the chat, too. Don't be afraid.
Actually, hey, Louis, do you have a shout-out, a quick one you want to do?
I do have a shout-out to my boy Mike DeTilio. He's 6 years old.
Look at that guy.
He turned 6 years old on Friday. I apologize, pal. I was supposed to give him a quick shout-out, and I forgot. So I sent him some stickers, and he watches our show, and I appreciate him being a big fan. So I just wanted to make sure I gave him the happy birthday.
Cute kid, man. He's going to be a hell of a firefighter.
First do it, the old lady's box right out in the front. He knows how to do it.
If we're going to do it, let's get the kid on the right track. You know what I mean?
Start him correct. All right, boys. Here we go. First question from the emails, guys. And don't forget to email us, everybody. When you email us these questions, you guys get free stuff if we use your question. Question number one. Good evening, lads. Love the podcast. Finally, a podcast for firefighters. Thank you. Keep up the great work. I have a question for your next up-and-coming Q&A session. When you, Louis and Kevin, got on the job, what was the stigma around mental health? What did you do to cope with some of the horrible stuff we saw on a daily or weekly basis? I know shooting the shit after the job helps, but was it always enough? Was talking with the guys around the table always able to help you? Thanks again from Brent McNabb. Thanks, Brent.
I don't know if there was basically a stigma. I know you had to go through a ridiculous psych, right? Remember the psych that you had to go through where they ask you the same question 42 times, see if you answer the same question? As far as seeing shit, I guess you kind of get used to it, right? Do you remember the job? Do you remember the car accident we had on 69th Street with the two motorcycles?
Yeah, we talked about that already.
Oh, we did, right?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think it's each person is different, right? I mean, some people could take different things. When I think back, I mean, I'm retired now. I don't sit around thinking about things that I've seen. But I'm not saying that other people, don't do that. So I think it's just every person is. We've seen the worst of the worst. You know what I mean? What we over the years. So, and anybody who does this type of work, you're going to see bad stuff. But I guess at some point, some people, it can crack you. You know what I mean? And when later on in the years, especially after 9/11. They had the
counseling unit.
The counseling unit used to, send out stuff all the time. They used to come to the firehouse every once in a while, and guys would be like, "The counseling unit's here." But in the end, those guys did have some good things, and they did talk quick. It was always, which I think made it legit, was they had firemen who were real firemen in the FDNY. They weren't some, schnook who just got out of college. These were real guys who came and sat down and said, hey, listen,
retired guys on their own
retired guys, right. So if they came out and said, hey, listen, man, we know how it is. We know what it is. If you got a problem, you got an issue, don't hold it in. Just call this number. It's that simple. We'll get you help. That's it. Don't play games. And I think that way, when you're talking to, a group of men in front of men, it was an easy way for them to, give out their card. And maybe if a guy was doing it, maybe he wasn't talking about it right there, but he might go home and make a phone call and get the help if he needed it,
Right. The only thing that really stuck with me was kids. We did something with kids. Like I went to a couple car accidents where a car jumps the sidewalk and plows the mother and the kid into the gates. And then had a job one time where the kid was on the bed and we were doing a search. Me and Smithwick actually, and we found an infant, and it looked like a burnt doll. Didn't even look real. But that kind of stuff always stays with you. Kids, for me,
Well, something will bring it up, but I'm not waking up tomorrow morning thinking about that. You know what I mean? I mean, if I see something or smell something or hear something, that would trigger a memory. But I mean, for me, I'm not waking up. Well, it's not keeping me up at night. But I'm not saying that's not for everybody.
The only thing that really keeps me up, like when I wake up and I smell something, I see something, is Pito's lady's box.
It's just killing him. He can't even. It's building up inside him. He can't wait to say that. Right? It's
You're
killing
laughing.
him.
You killed it on me. You killed my delivery.
I see it coming already. I can see it coming.
What? Hey, see the stupidity on my face?
I see that smirk, the same smirk you had this morning. Remember I said you see
Let's
that
not
smirk?
talk about this morning. Somebody was grumpy pants this morning.
We had a little bit of an intense conversation this morning, ladies and gentlemen.
It wasn't grumpy.
All right, you just woke up. You woke up late. We had a little grumpy pants this morning.
No, it wasn't late. 7:30 is late. I mean, come on.
For you, it is. Yeah.
Hey, boys, one thing about what we were just talking about with, dealing with stuff on the job, obviously I know nothing about it, but I do remember Mikey Milner, when he was on the show talking about how he talked about this openly, that he suffers from PTSD. And he said, quite frankly, just guys, you got to talk about it. You got to go see someone, and there's no shame in having any discussions with mental health professionals, So, to anyone who's listening, right? I mean, I'm not in your shoes. I cannot possibly understand what you guys go through or have done. But from one of the great firefighters that we have had on our show, Mikey Milner, go see somebody, man. No shame in your game. You know
what's important about that too, Pete? And it's already out there, right? Guys already know. It's not something that's hidden anymore. It's not, you're not looked upon differently now if you went to go talk to somebody. Nobody gives a shit. You know what I mean? So it's out there. It's not like you're hiding anything anymore.
Better go to that than go to substance abuse or drown your sorries in some alcohol.
Not that drinking.
It's terrible.
So I was just listening to this guy, Will Chesney, and he's the writer of a book called No Ordinary Dog. He's the guy who was on the Bin Laden raid with Cairo, the dog. That he was his handler, and he was Cairo's guy. And he said that at one point, post Dev Grew SEAL Team 6.
Osama.
Yeah, exactly. Post that moment, he said that he wished that he had died on that raid because that was the highlight, and then nothing. He thought at that time of his life that nothing could get better, or that was what he was meant to do, and he couldn't reintegrate back into society. But there's so much that goes on, like trauma. Like let's say if you take head trauma and you have CTE, that's just a hormonal issue at that point. Besides what you've seen, you know what I mean? That triggers all that stuff coming back up. Right. So get the help you need, guys. We love you. We need you back. We need you out there in society. People like you, guys who are watching the show. I care about that issue, man. It sucks. There's no shame in that, man. Everyone's got shit to deal with. Even the toughest fucking guys in the world. So, All right. One question there is, though, in the chat here, real quick. Does the FDNY have any, and this is coming from Eric Shady, here we go. Does the FDNY have any kind of tradition for when the new guys get their first job or special events, i.e. they have to buy steaks or whatnot? So ball busting, basically.
I don't know.
Well, I mean, when you're a probie, I mean, years ago, again, we go back to this, there was a lot of stuff that they used to do to you. They used to dump buckets of water on you. There was a lot of pranks that they used to do. Now, not so much. Generally, when you get off probation, you bought the meal. And then I think I did every anniversary on my probation day. I bought the meal in the firehouse that night, whatever it was. So whether I bought it or brought it in, some guys did every 5 years. Some guys didn't do it at all. So, I mean, for the most part, guys did. If you were going on vacation, you bought the meal, right, Coop? So
yeah, but I don't think there was really any kind of thing where if you caught your first job,
Oh, no, nothing like that.
We talked about it. That was about it.
Rich Anderson in the chat saying he got washed down the street with a 1 3/4 on his first fire.
All right, cool.
I mean, there's a lot of funny stuff that they used to do, but
allegedly.
All right, number 2, guys. Number 2 coming in hot from the emails. Hey guys, love the show and the insight of all your fire service experience. So I've always wanted to know, do you guys believe the FDNY is the greatest fire department in the world? If so, why? Thanks from Nate DiOrdio. Thanks, Nate.
Come on. Is that a real question? Is there another department? Is that a real question he's asking me? Is he asking me if it's the greatest department in the world? Come on. Of course it is. No slight against Boston or Chicago is busy. Detroit. There's a lot of busy places, bro, but there's only one FDNY. You know that. That's why guys come from other states to work here. They'll move here.
It's just, I mean, it has, you get the whole package, right? I mean, as much as, guys will bitch and complain when they're on the job, as we did about anything that, it's still the greatest job in the world. There's a reason I have that sign in my room.
But you know what? The guy up in Boston probably thinks Boston's the best fire department in the world. So good for them. Chicago. I'm not going to say
that would really suck. That would suck if I was on the FDNY, but I thought Boston was great.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Hey, fuck you, man. No way. My God. Actually, speaking of which, best job in the world, guys, we had that motivation video. I will be starting to cut the next one soon, so keep your eyes peeled.
As soon as he gets his hands out of his fucking pockets, he's going to be cutting out.
Okay. All right, guys. Let's see.
Tell Winthrop, never hot dogs. Never.
Louis, hot dogs and fish sticks. All right. So all right, here we go. Coming in again from the email. Chat's a little quiet with questions. Love the show. Hey guys, love the show. I was introduced to your podcast last week and haven't been able to stop listening. Thank you, man. We appreciate that. Wanted to see how working in a single house compared to working in a house with multiple companies, special units, chiefs, etc. was. Keep up the good work, Coleman Leventhal. Thanks, Coleman.
Kev, did you ever work in a single?
Yeah, when I came out of public school, I was in 210.
Oh, 210 was single. What was the difference for you?
It's closer knit guys because there's only a handful of guys. Only so many guys you could do swaps with, mutuals with. You really couldn't have a softball team. You could, but you usually went with another truck or another house.
Right, they would do the single engines would get together sometimes, right? They would get
or they would go to a double house, So it was goods and bads. Like it was really tight, a single house, really tight. Did a lot of trips together, did a lot of outings together, but it was a lot smaller, quieter at times. There's only 5 guys around, and sometimes, you used to having the 5-man engine. You had 10, 11 with us. We had hazmat, so we had 14 guys.
Plus, if you had a house like that, you would have 11. You'd have the chief. You could have other people in the house too. The division or whatever it was. So I liked having a lot of people because there's always somebody doing something. Whether they were upstairs, downstairs, at the workbench, or always something going on. If you didn't want to do anything, you go hang out and watch TV, whatever you wanted to work out. But I liked it better with more guys. I think.
I mean, you're in a single engine. If one guy's in the house, one guy's studying, and maybe one guy's doing something like
you're by yourself.
By yourself, Whereas in a double house, there's always somebody to talk to.
Yeah.
Watch a ball game with, whatever.
Like cards or whatever.
Yeah. Yep.
All right. One from the chat here, boys. Leo Blanco, Benny Blanco from the Bronx. How do you guys feel about the members that take the promotional exam from EMS to fire?
I think early on that might have been kind of looked upon a different way, shitty way. But now I don't think that's people. A lot of guys are trying, get on the job that way. That who don't live in the city. So
that's the back door in now. If your son, like if my son was trying to get on, tell him to go EMS first because it's a promotional exam for them, and they're first selected over the open exam. So
they don't get the points. If you live in the city, you get 5 extra points. If you whatever it is, you get there's points for everything. And if you're in the city, if you live outside the city, then you got to go in this way.
They also take those guys off the list first before the open list. So if you're looking to get on the job, that's the back door in. And who cares? You know what? For me, if I was riding with a guy, who was a paramedic, good for me. If I go down, I know that motherfucker's working on me. So I don't care.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, yeah, it's not, nobody cares.
No, nobody cares.
Yeah, you do the job like anybody else, right? We've said that a bunch of times here.
Mm-hmm.
One more from Marcus in the chat. Sorry, Marcus. Apparently, you've been asking this question for weeks. This is the first time I'm seeing it. This fucking chat moves quickly, guys. All right. What's the history behind the Bronx Bend? Also, what is your opinion about the non-FDNY guys wearing the Bronx Bend style? From Marcus. Thanks, Marcus.
What? I'm not sure how the Bronx Bend, believe it or not, how it came about.
The Bronx Benders, they used to take the enginemen would take their helmets and they would heat them and bend them so that the water would flow off the back and it wouldn't funnel into the back of their coat. So they would bend their helmets down. I don't know why they call it the Bronx Bend. Maybe those guys were doing it first.
The bend, if they bend it, it's actually going to come down their back more.
I don't know. That's what I was told. Pete, look at that up. Will you? The Bronx Bend
right here. Okay. Originally, it would occur naturally from throwing the lid up on the cowling in the rig after a run. The heat and force of it hitting the brim caused it to bend over the years. That's what I'm seeing up from a quick search on the web. So
now I think they make helmets. You could buy a helmet that actually has a Bronx Bend. That's what Marcus is saying. Yeah, I don't. We don't buy our helmets per se, basically. Right. Yeah.
Huh.
So.
Yeah. And you can't do it on the plastic helmets without messing up the integrity of the whole helmet, right?
So, one like this, maybe. I don't know. I'm just saying. I don't know. Maybe.
Whose helmet is that? That's your old man's helmet?
That was my father's first helmet, circa 1960.
Yeah, that's not a Bronx Bend. That's not a Bronx Bend, though.
Nah,
dude, I have some old pictures from guys sending me from Instagram and stuff. Where the bend is just like that, like it's coming off, just like that, bent straight down, like 90 degrees.
Yep.
Here's one really quick one and a good one, I think, from the chat again. If you could go back in time, what time in the department would you like to work? 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s? I could even probably answer that one for you guys.
1976.
Yes.
74.
74?
Yeah.
War years, 76, where you were passing fire to go to your fire. That's what.
1032 was 68 to 73. So, right after that, that's when it was just, the city was going in the toilet in the mid 70s already. So I would say, any of those 70s.
Yeah. No, that they said they would literally be going to a box, driving by a fire, to call a dispatcher on their way to another job. So that's the time right there, kid.
Another quick one. I think it's probably a good one too to ask, and then we'll go back to the emails here. Hey Pete, I don't know if this got answered last week. It hasn't, but has the experience gotten back up to the level of pre 9/11, or is there still a gap of experience on the job?
What is that? I don't know what that means.
Meaning, like, we lost a lot of brothers on 9/11 who had a wealth of knowledge. You know what I mean?
They lost irreplaceable guys back then. You talk about 343 guys, but a lot of SOC was decimated. You talk about guys like Patty Brown. He wasn't SOC, but a wealth of knowledge. And, if you're talking about guys that were hired from 2001 or on, I don't.
Yeah, they have experience now because they have time on the job, but they don't have experience. you know, they listen.
None of those
if you-
guys
if you-
worked in the war years. None of
right,
those
but
guys
I'm
worked in
saying,
the
like,
70s
if
or
you got
80s.
on in 2001 to now, listen, you have some fire experience, right? There's no doubt about it. If you got 20 years on the job, you know what the fuck you're doing. I'm not saying that, but I don't think that's the same experience as guys, you know, from the 80s, 70s, 80s, 90s, who, you know, who they lost, you know, in 2001. So, yeah, I mean, listen, the job has done a very, very good job of getting up to speed over the years. And, you know, guys are doing a good job. There are some things that, you know, Kevin and I talk about that you might say, you know, they could be doing better, but we won't discuss that on here. But, you know, I think overall, you know, it got up to speed pretty fast. And, you know, now, like you said, you got guys with 20 years on the job that came on after 9/11 or close to it. So, you know,
I mean,
it is what it is.
If you look at the mentality, Pete, like you look at the guys from the 60s and 70s, you know, their mentality, as opposed to today. Like I say all the time, man, if we had to, you know, defeat the Nazis and the Japanese today, we'd be fucked. We'd be fucked.
Send the guy with the man bun. Yeah.
Send the guy with the man bun and who needs a safe space, you know? So there's a whole different mentality, too. I mean, even guys back then in the 70s, you know, that we came in contact who was still on the job. Those were like, you're like, holy shit, you know, this guy.
Listen, that's in every
generation,
aspect. We just, I think, I don't know if we talked about that, if I talked about it on the phone or, you know, in hockey, right? In football, you know, if you sack a guy and you land on him too hard, you get a flag, right? You know, back when we were kids, when you watched football, Jack Lambert would jump up in the air and like pile drive his helmet into the quarterback to try and inflict as much pain as possible, right?
Yeah.
You bleed him. You know, now you get a pulled muscle. The guys, you know, everybody, you know. So it's in every facet of life. It's in everything. Yeah. This is how it is now. You know, hockey, they don't fight as much as they used to. You know, it's in everything.
And I see just picked up somebody in the chat. Tell James Diavolio that he wishes Squad 18 was going to jobs night after night. they were going to class 3s, going back to class 3s back and forth all night. Jimmy.
Shots fired. Repeat. Shots fired.
He hates when you call him Jimmy. Love you, James.
No, that when he first came into the firehouse, he said, "What do you want to be called?" You know, his name's James. He's like, "Yeah, just don't call me Jimmy."
All right, Jimmy.
All right, Jimmy.
All right, please. Back to the emails. Here we go. Just wanted to say you guys do a great job. Thank you. Love hearing the stories and experience from you guys and your guests. I know you were both in some great companies, but was there a company you really wanted to go to and why? Keep up the good work, Dan Clark.
For me, it would have been, if it was a regular company, I would have went to Ladder 112.
Why?
I like the area that we're in. I don't like it being in a tower ladder. I don't like pissing water in 0-degree weather in the middle of February because they're sticks. You know, they're getting quick. With Triple Deuce, great area. I just like the company. Good tradition. If it was a sock company, you know, either Squad 1 or Rescue 2, one or the other.
Yeah, I would say Rescue 2. But that, you know, listen, even myself, you know, over time, you know, when you first get on a job, I felt like I was very aggressive. I wanted to do more. I wanted to go to fires. I wanted to do more. I wanted to do more. Then, as you know, I didn't have kids. I didn't have a family. Then as time goes on, you know, you start to, you know, when I had 20 years on the job, I start rethinking, you know, last thing I want to do is I still wanted to go to fires and I was still, but you change, you know what I mean? You don't have the same mentality that you did when you were, you know, had 8 years on the job and full of piss and vinegar. You know what I mean? So, you know, I wouldn't want to be, I don't know. I think that's, you know, that's how it is for everybody. I would imagine. I don't know. Maybe it's just me.
I would go tell Lieutenant Badassari I would like to go to 138 if I didn't want to run my balls off all night.
And I don't want to have guys doing this to me all day.
Where the tigers. I don't want to wear a raccoon head.
Oh, raccoon hat. Oh, those guys do work. They do some work. They had a good job the other day.
Chief Steve came from there, bro.
Who?
That's right. Chief
Steve.
Oh, wait a
minute. Wait, Larry D. I think Larry D asked for this in the chat. Pete,
Did
take
he
it
say?
away. He said,
Oh,
we need a new Chief Steve song.
Well, I
Holy
think
shit.
I've solved your problem, gentlemen. Here we go. I'm Chief Steve. I'm here to inspect. That better not be beer on your breath. Line up in order. Dress right, dress. Go get a comb. Your hair's a fucking mess. Proper uniform is what I'm here to see. No getting salty shirts. They won't get past me. 'Cause I'm Chief Steve.
Dude, what's the story with the guy? He's laying on the floor with the vodka? Like, who is
Yeah,
that?
Chief Steve's passed out with a bottle of vodka. Yeah, he got him on the toilet bowl.
That's
He's
not
eating
bad.
Patrol at one point. You
That's
know,
pretty funny, man. That was pretty good. I like it. I have to say, I wasn't a big fan of it the first time, but that's getting pretty funny.
Come
Actually.
on, that's good shit, bro.
oh
good.
my God.
Yeah, all the way
Yeah,
down.
it's right before question 5 here too. So here, let's go to question 5. Hey, brothers, love the show. You crack me up. Thank you. I cannot get the Chief Steve song out of my head. Well, now you got the new one to get into
Wait,
your
is there
head.
another one, Pete?
No, that was the one.
Oh, I thought we were
No,
playing
this is the
again.
question
Oh.
this is the question from 5. So wait,
Yeah, go.
so I got the Chief Steve song out of my head. Okay, great. I'm trying to get it out of my head. It's more like a nightmare. Sorry. Longtime supporter of apparel, have quite a few t-shirts, and have my coffee every morning out of my Truckee mug. Thank you so much, dude. My question: what advice did you appreciate the most from the senior man when you got on the job? Hang loose, stay low, keep pushing in. That's Mike Harrington. Thank you, Mike Harrington. That was a really nice email. So what did Hank Mole tell you, boys? Old Man River.
Oh, that wasn't when I got on.
He
Oh,
wasn't
no?
my
Okay.
first senior man. No, he wasn't.
I got mine.
Go first.
Frankie McCartan was senior man at 117. He had over 20 years when I got there, and didn't say much, but big, tall Irish guy. If he said something to you, you were listening to him. So I would say pretty early on, I was there probably like a year or so, too. Like I said, he didn't say much, was great at job. And I had decided that I was going to try and go up to 33 truck in the Bronx. And I went up for an interview, and the guys found out about it. And they had 33 everywhere. It was on my locker. It was on my jacket. It was on my helmet. They wrote it everywhere, right? It was on all my shirts. And so he came up to me, which, again, he didn't say too much to me early on anyway. And he says to me, he says, listen, Lou, the guys are breaking your balls, but that's just all it is ball breaking. He said that in the end, you always have to do what's best for you and your family, right? So whatever you want is the most important thing. Now, he spent over 20 years in that firehouse. And what he said to me was that if he would have had to do it all over again, this was then, he might have done 5 years in a couple different spots, because he felt like, once you're in the same spot after 10 years, you kind of get into the same rut, you kind of, and he felt like he needed a change at some point, but he never did. And he ended up, retiring out of there. So he said, if I had to do it all over again, I might do 5 years in each spot. And as it kind of turned out, it worked out to me to do that. I did 4 years in 117. I did almost 5 in Squad 288 as a fireman. I was in 290, 103 for almost 8 years total. So 4 and 4, give or take 3 and 5. And then I came back to Squad 288 as lieutenant for, the remainder of the time. So it kind of worked out the way he had said. And you know what? Each one of those times, it was kind of a point where I could have used a change. You know what I mean? Whatever it was, when I first got promoted, whatever it was, you get a little stale. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it worked. That was good advice. And I give that advice to a lot of people now.
Yeah. I say for me, I went to a single engine, and he wasn't the senior man. Maybe he only had 8 or 10 years when I got on, but he took the time with me, and he said, listen, every time you come in, you're a smart kid, be quiet. We'll go over engine ops. He said, do 4 years here and then make your move. Go to a busy truck in Brooklyn. And, I went to the squad, but that's what my plan was. It was going to be that. Oh, look at Fat Daddy Ray's in the room. What up, Fat Daddy?
Hey, Fat
PH.
Daddy Ray.
Is he? He's not making all kinds of snorting noises tonight, is he?
He's
I watched that the other day. I'm like,
Oh
was
my
comical.
God.
He was like
Yeah.
moaning and.
Yeah, he had way too many. What was he drinking that night?
He was on Grubhub. That's what it was.
Yeah, he was on Grubhub.
When I heard that the second time, I was crying.
That was murder.
Funny.
Hey, here's a funny question from the chat. Aaron Cook is asking, what does Chief Steve actually think of the songs anyway? and I got to say something about that because I have when I work or when I first met Chief Steve, right, and then when I work with him now, as we did that piece with him on the history of the FDNY, I'm like kind of. It's weird, man, because like I'm singing a song about freaking Chief Steve, and he's right there, But it's hard to even get a pulse on the guy, to be honest with you.
Gonzo said that sound like it's a call of I'm self-pleasuring. He is on fire.
What does he think, Kev?
What?
What does Chief Steve think, man? It's hard to.
He thinks I'm an idiot. And he says I played it for him the other day. I told him about the lyrics. I didn't play for him. I didn't hear him. And he laughs. He has that little smirk where he laughs. He just shakes his head and he goes, "You're an idiot. You think you're so funny." I'm like, "Yeah, it's funny." But he, you know what it is? He laughs like when he talks to the other guys in the division, or he talks to he knows it's funny. He laughs.
I think the second one's better than the first one. To be honest with you,
I think
that's pretty good. That's really
good. How long was I busting Pete's balls to put those lyrics out? How long?
Yeah, but you didn't.
I grew a beard.
Wait a minute. I sent them to you twice. Don't give me that shit.
I grew a beard. It was over a month.
An email if it wants to be permanent. But anyway, all right. It was good. It was good. And we had to, by the way, those lyrics had to be severely altered because Chief Steve does not have the rhythm.
Oh, no, he doesn't.
All right, boys. Here we go. Coming out, question number 6 from the email. Gentlemen, well done on the podcast and merch. This even coming from one of New York's finest. Okay.
Love it.
Question and hoping for some good stories in regards. Any recollection of ladder trucks dropping their stabilizers or engine companies forcing the water supply, quote unquote, gently through illegally parked cars on fire hydrants? From Brian Devlin.
Somebody we had on was telling us a story that there was a car on the corner.
Well, 138. I saw 138 put their tormentor on a car.
Was no, not on a, no. Because usually the cops are parked right on the hydrant, right on the fucking.
I remember what we used to do. We used to do when we used to do hydrants, and there was a car parked in there. We would open the hydrant up like full blast, and it would get in the door. Like
nice.
Yeah, imagine that. You did that today, they would be.
Well, they have you on videotape.
They'd be marching through the streets. Yeah. X-nay on the marching A.
Arch May. Oh my God. I'm looking at something here in the chat. It's not, I don't know if it's really a question, but FDNY 37 is saying, do you guys remember when the Chiefs in Brooklyn were told to use the fast truck first and then the rescue because they were standing in the street with their dicks in their hands?
Oh, that's a hate question, bro.
I think they did. I don't know if that happened initially. I think guys wanted that to happen.
Yeah.
But
that must have been a guy. Where was he from? He wanted to get the sock, probably, I think.
Who's that?
That guy. I don't know. The guy who said that
37. Question. FDNY 37.
What did Ray say? 216 put a line through a blue and white parked on a hydrant. Yep. Good job.
Oh, I heard. That's right. That's what Ray said. Right.
Oh, it was Ray who said that? Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Oh, Salmo put a tormentor on a car at LaGuardia. One of the best chauffeurs I ever saw, actually. Nick Salmonese.
Look at this. I love that James Diavolio's on there from South Carolina.
Maybe. Yeah, I don't know what's going on down there. I don't know what's going on.
I never know what he's doing.
Never know what he's doing down there.
I don't.
Hey, Ma!
Big Daddy Ray.
So another one from the chat that isn't so weird and aggressive. Hey guys, after making rank, do you guys go back to the same stations that they worked before? And is that a good decision?
Some guys do after you ask him about 8,000 times to come back to SOC. You know what I mean? I'm going to tell you how it happened right here. All right? He gets promoted, right? I'm like, dude, come back to SOC. I'm in the seat now. I'll drive you. It'll be like we're kids again, bro.
Well, how long? I was out of SOC for how long? 7 years.
7 years.
7 years.
And you were like, I can't take it anymore, bro. I'll maybe get into accidents. I'm fighting with chiefs. I don't know what's going on. So I said, come on, come back to sock, bro. And finally I convinced him. So he owes me that too. You know what I mean?
Hey, Jay, Patty Lee is in the chat. He said to say hello.
All right, guys.
Oh, Jimmy?
Jimmy. I'm sorry, Jimmy. Jimmy,
Patty Lee.
That's his other probie. That was his other probie too.
I think we're getting Patty Lee on the show, right?
We are going to get him. He's got a lot of stories. He's probably we're going to need 2 packs of cigarettes for that. I think he's still smoking.
Just going to say that, bro. He's not going to mention the time I knocked over his garbage cans in front of his house, right? At a first new job.
Where's the ghetto over there? He's living. What does he want?
That was the church fire, bro, right next to his house.
That was the church fire? Oh,
yeah,
at least you saved his house.
Yeah, well, there's a big parking lot in between, so if we didn't get that, we're really bad.
All right, what do we got? How many more? He's not smoking.
One last one. We got one last one. One last one from the email, and then let me just hit this one. This is a technical question from Michael Kresich in the chat. Back in the 80s and 90s, FDNY had a couple of tower ladders with pumps. Was an MPO also assigned to those TLs?
Like a quint?
No, it wasn't a quint. It was called something else. 14 Truck had one, I know. It was called, I don't know, somebody in the chat. Who the hell knows what the hell they were called? I forget. But 14 Truck, they only had 2.
Yeah.
But I think it was 14 Truck had one. It was called something else. It wasn't called a quint. But it had an engine, but I don't think they didn't have an MPO with it. The chauffeur was the MPO.
Oh, somebody wants us to come to Texas. I'd love.
It wasn't a squirt.
Freaking love Texas, man. The Salt Lick, that's my favorite barbecue in Blacks. Oh my god. You don't know barbecue until you have barbecue in Texas. We don't know shit about barbecue in New York. Nothing. Zero. Zip.
I don't know about the salt. I don't know about the Salt Licks, but I know your old lady likes the Heine Licks. I'm just.
Hey!
I going in there.
That's it.
Yes.
That's the taint. You know the taint.
Yeah. You know, I like to call it the nacho ass, nacho. All right. So Ray Seeley actually has a good one. Every senior guy asked me when I got on, who told you about this job, kid?
That is true. Well, how'd you get here? How'd you get to this house? Who's your hook?
Yeah. All right, boys. Last question out of the emails. Here we go. Number 7. Love the show's boys. Is there any repercussions or discipline for any of the antics of the FDNY? If we did half the things you guys do, we'd be suspended for days. And that's for the insight. Thanks for the insight, Tom Ging, Indianapolis Fire Department.
I mean, now forget it.
Now you can't get away with none of that shit.
You can't do any of that shit.
Like I don't know if Tom Ging is Asian, so I can't call him like my wife is Asian, so sometimes I'll call her Hop Sing or Laundry Folder or something like that, So I don't know if we can get away with that shit, like Tom. I don't know if you like white rice, young child fried rice. Shit like that.
You can't say that. I think that's frowned upon. Like if you shit the Irish bastard, like you say something like that, that's not. They don't like that.
You mean when you call an Asian person Hop Sing, they don't like that?
They don't like that.
No Hop Sing, Oriental, shovel face, Charlie Chan, Nip, yellow face, none of that. You can't say none of that.
Yeah, who was the guy? Who was the guys? Didn't they do it in 290? I think it was 299. Didn't they have the guy that they put the rope up on the ceiling and they strapped 2 Scott bottles to his back?
Hey, you got fucked up.
Yeah, he spun around. They were trying to do something, and he spun around like his eyeballs were popping out of his head or something, right?
Yeah, he had something fucking. Yeah, these idiots hung him from a rope, and they strapped 2 fucking going the same, and he was like a rocket. He went around the fucking.
They couldn't stop it.
Yeah. Oh, shit.
But
don't ask another question. Hold on.
I think what happened to him. So I think those guys had. I don't even think they got a rip. You know what I mean? I don't even think they got written up. But nowadays, you can't put a sticker on your locker. They'll fucking be. Oh, they're not going to march.
I don't see why a guy can't, like, maybe not his jacket, right? You know, you can't be writing shit across the back of your jacket. I get that. But why a guy can't put like a little, like, let's say a Getting Salty sticker or a First Do sticker or whatever, you know, on his helmet? You know, it's no big deal. You know?
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened with all that. You know, they actually you couldn't have the American flag on your locker at some point,
Right.
and then they changed
Really?
that. Yeah, it was crazy. But I think they changed that. I think
That's
they changed
nuts.
it.
I mean, I still see some companies with the flag off the trucks and stuff like that. You know,
Where'd you go?
You had to take a squirt.
I had to go man the pumps.
Really?
Yeah, I was priming. I was priming that shit.
Did you check for vacuum?
I did check for a vacuum.
How'd that work out?
Guys are asking about my old lady in here. We are going to have a show with our old ladies on it. So it's going to be the wives of firefighters. You animals have to behave yourselves, all right? Otherwise, it's going to be big trouble.
I'm sure that's going to happen. That's a good.
You're asking for a lot.
I'll listen to you.
Yeah.
You're asking for quite a bit. Hey, we got another question from the chat here from David Bader. Do you guys have any insight or knowledge on the FDNY Marine unit, summer boat program versus being full-time at a Marine unit as a firefighter?
Yeah, the bolts in the summer is a good gig, man.
That is a good gig. A lot of guys fight. They fight for that spot.
Yeah. You don't want to be in the boats in the winter. Fuck that.
I got a guy in town, Kev, one of our friends in town, who's a Marine guy now, and I was actually just chilling with him on Sunday at the beach, and he was saying that it's like the best movie ever made. You know, like it's like super fun. Even got to work with some Navy SEALs, like you know, who needed to learn some techniques from FDNY, as a matter of fact. So those SEALs would not be regular SEALs, guys. Though those would be the elite of the elite.
Yeah, you know,
really
that's a different mentality, though. Like, I don't know that I couldn't go to fires anymore, running around in fucking boats. They go on a run. They're out for like an hour. You know, ETA 3 hours. You know, but when you're gonna be ETA 3 hours.
Depends on what you want out of the job, right? Some of those guys, if you wanted to just go there, I mean, obviously they don't have a lot of runs. So if that's what you were looking to do at the end of your career, that's one thing. If you wanted to advance yourself, like with stuff on the water, you know, those guys go for different tests and certifications, then you make the job work for you, right? I mean, you know, everybody's got their thing. Because
there's different, like a wiper makes more money. There's different levels you can
right. So if you want to do that, if you want to, you know, do a tugboat when you retire, then that's what you do. You know what I mean?
There's a lot of old ladies' boxes in the room. I'm going to show you bitches something, bro. This just came in today. It just came in today. It's not on the site yet, but every one of you fucks are going to need one of these in your TV room or in your bunk room. And
unfurl it.
There you go, baby. Oh, it's so soft and cuddly. It's First Do at your old lady's box blankets. Oh,
your old lady's box is soft and fuzzy.
Oh, man. It's so soft and cuddly. It'll be on the website soon. So take out your little wallets with your communion money. Spend a little of the money you got. It's coming soon, bro. Every TV room needs one. Every bunk room needs one. There's a little shameless plug for you. Yep.
Nice. There is a question in the chat for me specifically, which I wouldn't mind taking if you guys don't mind here. It's from Liam. Pete, have you ever thought about becoming a real probie and joining the volunteer fire department? The short answer to that is yes, but I have something else in the works, which I cannot speak of yet. We will talk about that when the time comes. You never know. We'll see. We'll see. Life is interesting that way, isn't it?
Yeah, man.
Yeah. But if I could go back, I'll tell you right now, honest to God, boys, if I could go back to 20 years old, 100%, knowing what I know now, being on this show, knowing you guys and knowing the community, 100%. That would be the job that I would want to do. I never knew about the job. Just didn't know enough about it. Didn't click to me back then. And now that I know, I'm like, shit, what have I done with my life? So there's that.
There you go, kid.
Let's see. All right.
That's it. Quiet. We got to go.
No.
5 minutes of fury already. What do they got?
Not yet. No, that's a good one. Also, has the FDNY ever thought of creating an air rescue unit, or do they defer to the PD for anything that requires aviation? I've seen big departments like Miami-Dade and LA are big on their air rescue.
I think they have some kind of program where the chief takes off, right, on a
Third
on
alarm.
a third alarm or greater, and he does some kind of air recon at a third alarm. Yeah, I don't know what that's going to do really at a building fire. It doesn't really. I don't know. I don't see much application for it. But
No, unless you're dropping buckets of water.
yeah. I mean, in California, you got the canyons and all that different terrain and shit. You don't have that here. You got the skyscrapers and ghetto that you have here. So
Yeah, I'm hip.
yeah.
Let's see. What's that white stain on your blanket? Says Gene Bass.
Warming
It's
up.
not quite yet, Gene. Hold on.
All right, let's talk about the what do you got there? You got the guy's picture there, don't you?
Oh yeah, all right. Let's go for the winner.
Already? You want to go for the winner?
I mean,
it's 45 minutes. What do you say? We shoot for an hour.
One more question.
One more question.
Gonzo coming in shit hot. Thank you, Anthony. Okay, bros, forgive me. I know this is all about fires, but any challenging special ops runs you can recall?
Yeah, we had. Well, I mentioned this before. We actually got special called us and Rescue 4 out all the way out to Long Island, which is the land of the volleys. We're all volunteers out there. We had a guy in a trench. The trench collapsed and he was buried just about up to his chest. And they were working on him for a while. They couldn't get him out. And we basically formulated a plan and we got him out. I mean, not only was it a long distance we had to go, but it was, working in conjunction with a whole bunch of volleys and not wanting to take over the operation without hurting any feelings and shit like that. But at the end of the day, we got it out. We got him out.
You know what it is? It's so tough when you really start thinking about the runs you've been on over the time. It's almost boggles your mind. You know what I mean? Like you can't even. I think Bobby Gallione said it. You can't pick. You'd have to sit down and really start to write stuff down just to keep it on a piece of paper because it's you go to a car into a building a few times a month. You go to any of that shit, explosions, all that crap at least a few times a year. So there's always something, all those gas explosions, the ones in the Bronx, the one in Manhattan. We went to all of that stuff and we really didn't do anything most of the time early on, but
I can recall one more. Was it Carplunk that fell into the basement?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we got special called up there to go when they fell through the basement of it was like a 99-cent store or
it was
or something like that. I don't remember what it was. And
99-cent store.
They were having problems getting them out, and I'll never forget the Rescue 4 was down there or up on top and half down there, and it was me and Captain Evans, and I don't remember who else was working that day. And they were like, "This access is how you can get them to the Bilco doors." I remember it was sheer black mud coming out the doors, bro, and no other choice. You had to go straight down, not knowing what the hell was down there, and try to get him out. But going into absolute pure blackness of down the cellar stairs, which was rough getting him out, and he was still talking to us when we were taking him out. I mean, he succumbed eventually, but he was talking when we got to him. So that one was tough.
Yeah.
When you guys go into,
I think Scotty Maxwell, excuse me, Pete, Scotty Maxwell is going to be on Thursday. He was at that job. So that's one of the jobs that we're going to talk about.
We can talk to him about that too.
He was in Rescue.
He's a funny guy. Yeah.
Funny how? Like he amuses you? Like he's
a
clown?
He actually worked with my brother, The Rug. We'll talk about rug stories. My brother, rest his soul. Loved him. Great guy.
I got a couple of pictures of
The Rug?
Yes.
Come on!
I do.
Oh, that's going to be my night, bro.
That is. I wasn't going to tell you, but now that you say it, I figured I'd give you a little nugget, Yeah.
Guys, awesome. I was gonna ask, this is just an honest question. I have no idea the answer to this, but when it's when it's really chugging and it's like black smoke like that, if you have the brightest light in the world, right? Is that like being in a fog and nothing works?
No, you ain't seen for that. Nope.
So you're just kind of like feeling your way around and going low. And that's
once we got to where he was, and you could still see the fire burning, you could see somewhat. You could see him, and but for the most part, it was like at first 100%, then 90%, then maybe 80% visibility when you got to him.
That's
So
right. Chief Kleehouse was saying that was the Proby was there too. Riley was the
Right.
he passed away right away.
Yep, 99 cents to him. Yep.
So you're feeling around basically to get to a guy like that, and then you have to draw it in your mind as you're going. Right?
They had a line down there too, so we followed the line. And actually, the line went to the Bilko doors, and we went down and followed the line through.
I gotcha. And I mean, that's typical for what you guys.
Yeah.
When you guys respond to something that's smoky, right? Like,
Well, we're going to talk to Chief Kleehouse about that. We hopefully beg him to come on the show. Right, Chief? Come on, Chief. We want you.
Don't make us beg. All right,
please don't make us beg. One of the greatest guys I ever worked with, right there. We'll get him on.
So then
what do you got?
let's get one more in before we do the contest, or a couple more if we can. How much different is it working in the city versus the Brooklyn ghetto?
So you want like
Manhattan?
Manhattan. Everyone goes to Manhattan.
You know what? I just talked to Hank the other day, and I said, "How'd you like the podcast with Bobby Gallione?" And I was like, "Great. You know, of course, Rescue 2 thinks they're the center of the world." I'm like, "Of course they do." You know what I mean? He says. And what he said was, listen, I could have went to Rescue 2. I came from 132 truck, but I wanted to go to more than just fires. I wanted to go to the obscure fires. I wanted to go to the sub basement. I wanted to go to the high-rise fire. I wanted to go to the crazy fires. You know what I mean? So there is a difference between ghetto firefighting and big city firefighting.
In this city, you can do whatever you can go for whatever you want. You could go to Brooklyn if you want to fight 2-story, 3-story jobs, right? Like you said, do you want to go in a subcellar? I'm not going to no triple subcellar. I don't want to go. I don't want to go to a 60, story high-rise fire. It doesn't interest me. You know what I mean?
70,000 square feet loft.
yeah. I mean, the ass might interest me. When I was younger, that might interest me to work in Rescue 1 or wherever. Yeah. But other than that, I mean, fuck all that shit, man.
Yeah, 60.
Everybody
There's a seat
got
for every ass, bro.
That's it, brother. Thank God, right? Thank God.
Yeah. I had a nice seat in 16 truck when I worked in 16 truck.
That's another great spot, right?
Every morning, bro, I had my routine down. Get up, comb my hair, brush my teeth, get a cup of coffee, put a folded chair out in front of the hello. Good morning.
Dude, if you were a single guy, I mean,
oh my God.
Especially after 9/11, right?
But and in high, a little bit, my 2 cents is I think it's a little bit of a distraction too on what you're supposed to be doing and how you're supposed to respond and because you're not doing it enough there. And that's all you get is the S. And
right.
So
Hank said that Rescue 2 was all about fire, which
that's what Bobby said.
In my opinion, busiest fire company in the world. Hands down.
No doubt about it.
What do you guys know about the Rockaway plane crash? A few guys in the chat are,
I worked that day.
Oh, what's up?
It was not that
November.
Soon after 9/11, and we get a plane down. So like, holy fuck, here we go again, man. So we didn't really need a ticket because as soon as we got on Woodhaven Boulevard, we could see the plume of smoke. We followed the plume of smoke all the way into the Rockaways, all the way into, what do they call it, Bell Harbor over there?
Bell Harbor.
And there weren't too many companies on scene yet, I got to be honest with you. And if you were a fireman and you wanted to go to an amusement park, this was it because there was fucking 20 different houses on fire, bro. You could pick wherever you wanted to go. And I was with Matt Neary, and there weren't a lot of line stretch, so we were going from house to house making searches, bro. There were that many houses on fire, and the thing I remember the most is that exactly where the plane went into the house, like ground zero of the plane going into the house. It was odd and very eerie because there was clothes from the people's luggage like strung out all over the trees, man. All over the trees. There was luggage, there was people's belongings, and it was just all over the place, man. And whatever you can discern of parts of airplanes and whatnot. And that's about what I remember.
What's classic about that? You know what's classic about that? That's kind of actually the first time I've ever heard you really talk about that. And that goes back to my point. That's a fucking that's a plane. You went to a plane crash in a residential area, and that's just like, oh yeah, I was at that thing. Like that would be like on somebody's resume. That's like, oh, I went to this. That's the number one thing. You're like, oh yeah, I went to that plane crash. Like, yeah, we went over here, we did this, we did that. Yeah. That's my point. Is you go to so much shit that you don't even realize the shit that you've gone to. And that's the first time I ever even heard you talk about that. I think now that you say it, I remember that you were there, that the guys were there, but I mean,
there was no starting point because there was so many fucking buildings on fire that you didn't know where to start. You really didn't.
All right, so I'm gonna say this too. Stop emailing me who to get on the show. All right. If anybody knows who the fuck's going to come on this show and who's the best guest, it's going to be us. All right. I got fucking 65 emails in this past weekend about who I should get on the show.
Right.
I know if you like the show so far, there's a pretty good chance I know and Kevin knows who should be on the fucking show. I mean,
there's one guy who's got reserved spot number 1. That's Chief Kleehouse over there, who's just said that Howie Carlson was first due. He was in Battalion 47. Thank you for the Howie Carlson.
Christ.
I know he watches now.
Dude, I got guys going, you got to get Galleon. You got to get Galleon. You got to get Galleon. We get Galleon. They're like, oh, yeah, Galleon was good. You got to get this guy. You got to get this guy. I'm like, all right, guy. You know,
we're going to get them all.
We're doing one a week. We're going to get them. We're going to get them all. Emailing me. I don't want to read any more emails about it.
All right. One more.
You see what I'm saying about Grumpy Pants? Do you see what I'm saying about Grumpy Pants?
It's common sense.
It was like this. I'm tired of answering your fucking emails. I send these fucking emails about who we should have on the fucking show. I know who we should have on the fucking show. I know who.
All right, guys. One more question from the chat.
Fucking great.
Another positive one, and then we're going to do the contest winner. What's the funniest thing you guys have ever heard keyed in over the radio?
Keyed in over the radio?
That you could possibly remember. I know it's tough.
Oh,
but
I'd have to think about that, man. I mean,
one guy, Gonzo in the chat goes, one of my guys actually keyed up the mic when his arm was getting twisted. He said, "You're breaking my fucking arm" over the radio.
Hey, Kev, didn't was it 136 after we got the 12%? They'd be like, "Hey, is Jefferson working? Hey, is Hamilton working?" You know, like they used to go over the radio. Hey, is
that's pretty funny. Yeah. Ben Franklin working.
Is Franklin working? You know, who are you looking for? Ben Franklin. Is he working tonight? You know, like they used to do that all the time.
You know who's working? Your old lady's box is working tonight, bro. I'm fucking working.
Holy shit, boys. All right, what about our winner, Kev? Let's talk about
it. All right, you guys sent in a shitload of some salty, some really salty, some really not so salty. But all right, some really salty guys, bro. And we took a long time with Cranky Pants to go over who was the best salty dog.
Yeah, you know what? He's like, yeah, send in your pictures, send in your stuff, send it up. Luke, take care of that. Luke, take care of that. All right, you got that?
All right, and Pete, drum roll. Pete, give me. Oh, you don't have any sound effects tonight.
Well, wait. You got to give us the guy's name, and then I'll bring up his picture.
He doesn't need
I got it.
Bring it to
I got
him.
it.
All right, winner of the show. Saltiest guy you've ever seen. The saltiest dog winner is this guy.
Lieutenant Anthony Buckrup from...
Wait a minute. Hold on a minute. Time out. Hey, Dickface, did you not get the email that I sent you?
Oh.
You fucking idiot. You ruined it. You fucking ruined it.
He's too busy fucking talking. That's why he's too busy yapping.
He's too busy yapping and not producing.
Telling his boring stories.
Email. Oh, shit. Hold on.
Yeah, all right. Hello.
You mean this one? The saltiest? Wait, you mean the saltiest guy?
Yes, I meant the saltiest
I think I'm gonna
guy
vomit.
you've ever seen.
I'm going to vomit.
This guy.
It's
over
that
here.
Guy.
I don't want to piss Louie off. You know what happens when he gets mad at me? Louie, this was not my idea. I was forced.
It's salty Lieutenant Grumpy Pants Refrano.
Holy Christ.
Look at how salty he is.
Look at that serious face. Look at a baby face. Wow.
Yeah.
All right. Now you can put the real picture.
Hold on. I don't think I've ever seen a picture of Louis when he was young without this kind of a face on you, Lou. Even the ones that we had for the other night.
It's the game face, bro. It's all business.
Game face. All right, listen, now that you fucked up my whole thing, bro, put the real guy's picture on, all right?
All right.
Holy Christ. Oh, God.
Jesus, I'm so nervous with you two. There he is.
There he is, bro.
Anthony Buckrup.
Lieutenant
Tony
Buckrup, bro, right here.
Gary and Deanna.
Gary, Indiana, Lieutenant Gary, Indiana, 30 plus years of fighting fires. He had several life-saving awards from rescuing brothers firemen to the rescuing of many civilians. He also had a list of Louis like this disciplinary write-ups, as he had a tendency to do things his way and tell the upper chiefs off. He had a heart of gold as long as you didn't cross him. He was a very tough street fighter as well as a firefighter. Loved the fire department more than anything in the world. He's retired now and 9/11 and had 9/11 cancer, but doing very well. This is the saltiest fireman I ever met. And Louis, and this is from Christopher S. Alford. And we agreed, Pete, show him. Salty motherfucker right there, bro.
Dude, that guy needs, what do they call those? He needs a couple of wipes. What do they call that? The fire wipes.
Yeah, man.
Dude, look at this first picture right here.
There you go, bro. That's the guy.
Show the picture with 9/11. He was at 9/11 too.
Yeah. So here he is at 9 on the pile, right? Here he is at something that's burning up real good.
Private dwelling.
All right, private dwelling. And there he is, just looking sexy.
So I actually spoke.
And here he is as a kid. Check him out.
Yeah,
with the big book of real fire engines. That was awesome.
I actually I spoke to him a couple of weeks ago, and I told him that, just from talking to him, I could already tell before he sent any of this. Whoever sent this in on him,
right.
Before I knew that, I could already tell that the guy had seen some work. I think we had talked, Kev, that I said, we'll probably at some point get this guy on down the road.
Please.
Just to hear his signed.
So now that he won, we got his email address. We're going to send him some nice goodies, and we're going to have him on the show. Mr. Tony, 30 plus years. We're going to get this salty motherfucker from Gary, Indiana on the show.
Gary, Indiana does some work, from what I understand now.
Yeah, man. They do some. Somebody just said it's the Camden of the Midwest. That's scary.
Holy shit.
Word. So
they're saying that Gary gets their ass kicked daily. So,
oof.
Yeah,
that's
and a few other guys. Gary, Indiana knows. Those boys know what fire is all about. Yeah, man. I mean, just look, you could mistake him easily from any of the savages that we've had on the show too, man. Like just the helmet, the he's all beat up. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, man. So I wonder if he's watching tonight. I wish he was. But anyhow, we're gonna have him on the show. There's the winner. We have a lot of guys.
Looks like he came out of Kevin's old lady's box.
Yeah, I saw that. Nice.
That's Dave.
Nice.
Oh,
so there's your winner. Thanks for all the contestants that you sent in. Awesome job. Even though Louis was 100% against it, I'm for it. No worries. There we go. All right. So what do we got on Thursday?
Dick 36 says, Lou, you should get him on the show. Good one, Dave. Good one.
Yeah. So guys, if you can picture this, here's Ruffy in his robe with his hair standing up like Emmett, Brown, and like, yeah, I'm fucking sick of every fucking guy's emailing me. I know who should be on the fucking show.
That's not even true.
That's not true. Show,
right? He wasn't that crazy.
That's not even true. It looks good. Why let the truth get in the way of a good story? I'll let you have it. You're good.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll send all you keep coming up with these fucking contests, and I'm fucking answering them.
Well, I'll tell you something.
You have to answer. They sent the emails. I look at the picture.
Yeah,
I actually do have a picture of Louis from this morning. I screenshotted Lou, believe it or not, and I think it's only right to share this, Lou, so everyone gets a point of reference. Here he is. This is Lou from this morning.
Dick.
Sorry, Lou. I love you, buddy. Oh my God, Mama mia!
Hey, you want to do polls? I don't want to do polls. All right, you want them to vote? I don't want to vote. I'll vote. Right?
Pennington, Lou, get Lou on the show.
All right, Paul, you want to give him the 5 minutes of fury before we go, or an hour?
I'm sure it's coming my way. I'll take it.
They're a little spicy. They're a little spicy tonight.
I'm sure it's coming my way.
Put him on the clock, Pete. Put him on the clock. 5 minutes of fury.
5 minutes of fury.
I'm sure it's coming my way anyway. So
3, 2, 1.
Who do you want on the show?
Let's go, boys.
Doc Brown needs to be on the show. I agree.
All right. Here we go. Lou, your old lady didn't like your stash on her box.
That's
all right.
That's,
we just more. Tyler's warming up. He's usually got better. Chief Steve has a puppet. Lou has a Muppet. Oscar the Grouch.
Oh,
Boo.
come on,
All
somebody's
right,
got
let's
to have a
see.
funny one.
Lou
LouPissyPants.com. That could be the winner right there.
I like
That could
that
be the
one.
winner. That could be the winner.
Something I learned tonight. Lou liked the guys in the house because of shower time. There was nothing wrong with that, though. Then he got married and started thinking differently about his life. Oh, man. Poor Lou.
Ooh.
I don't know what that is.
Kev, do we chow fun? Come on.
Saw the muscle shirt Thursday. Leg muscles being delivered soon.
Yeah.
Oh, boo.
Boo.
They got to warm up. They're warming up.
They're warming up.
Oh,
Warming up. What do you
shit.
got?
Lou got rid of the beard. He hated the taste of Kev's old lady's box.
Oh!
Love you a long time. Love you.
Pete, it's true that Kevin is showing actual size and his podcast? Ben, come on. I expect more out of you. Come on,
Man,
bro.
I don't get it.
It's got to be grammatically correct at the very least. But
That's funny.
but if he cut the look, I'll give him some credit. Pete, it's true that Kevin is showing actual size. Get it? Hey, like
Pissy Pants still has it.
I like Pissy Pants. What's
Lou-
Ray got? What does Fat
Lou-
Daddy got?
you just sit up in a cucumber patch.
He's such a dick.
I used to say deep knee bends in the cucumber patch. But whatever.
Yeah, you can't do sit-ups. You're laying on your back.
Hey, Kev, I've seen bigger arms on the junkyard rocking chair.
We had that one already, Greg. Come on. We had that one already.
Clean shaven. Kev, clean shaven.
Oh,
Looks
Larry, like boom, boom. All right.
yeah, you look like a ball bag with glasses. Okay.
Oh, that one's bad, Bill. Come on. Send another headpiece, will you?
Kev, which of our three old ladies' boxes do you like best? Kev's favorite meal, come on, some young guy.
Kev, you owe me for 2 garbage cans, Patty Lee.
Are there potatoes growing out of your headphones yet? Maron. Lou looks like the Italian Mr. Clean.
You guys, how much time we got? These guys are Pissy Pants still got it.
Pissy Pants still got it, bro.
2 minutes left. Is Kevin wearing his youth XXX small shirt tonight?
Same thing. Come on.
You know how many emails I got on your shirt? I'll send them to you. You know how many I got?
What?
Like
Oh,
36 emails about your cut off tight, scuba shirt that you're wearing. Look like a bulletproof vest.
He's getting the helmet so he stops licking the windows. I like that one. Kevin, get the bow out of your legs. You would be over 6 feet.
Oh, that was really off, bro. I saw that one.
Loose curtains equals plastic on the furniture.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Let's see what else we got. Kevin on the latrine. Lou yells for him. What are you doing? Kevin replies, I'm going blind.
Lou runs backwards in the forest of dildos. What is the matter with you guys?
Oh, come
Man,
on.
yes.
This is bad.
Oh, this is a good one. Pete, do you use those skateboards to lure kids into your ice cream?
That
could be the winner. I know that could be the winner.
Right there, bro. Right there.
If that's not number one, it's definitely number two. What's tighter, Kev's shirts or his old lady's box? Lou and Kev, like Big and Little Enos Burnett, are like Big and Little Enos Burdette.
What the fuck is that? Come on, Rob.
Come on, ancient history. All right.
Kev tried a Bronx bend, but it kept dragging on the pavement.
That's good. I like that.
Rich
Lou,
Anderson.
just delete the emails. Ask Hillary if you need advice.
That's good. I like
He's on
it.
trial right now. Good time to ask.
All right, now you guys are warming up now a little bit.
Now they got a little something.
A Pete's ice cream truck T-shirt could be could be Smokey and the Bandit reference. Okay, all right. Kev looks like he's gonna make grilled cheeses for the kids with that shirt press. Oh, come on. Let's send that out. I know. One more. Oh, well, that was our 5 minutes.
Yeah, one more good one. That's it. 5 minutes.
All right, we'll let it go for one more good one. Pete, Kevin, Lou, the Three Stooges. Ba-da-da-da-da-da. There's your 5 minutes period, gentlemen. Thank you so much.
Oh, yeah, we got 3 favorites, bro, right there.
The
Pissy
Pants,
skateboard,
and the Bronx bend on the
right there.
pavement.
3 good ones. Three good ones out of all those. Bro. Three good ones. You useless bag of shit. Come on.
Oh, those were good though. Those were classics,
Those
man.
are worth it. All right, cool. All right, so that's about it, right, bro? What
That's
we
it,
got?
kid. We got Scotty on Thursday, and
What do we got after that? What's up? Got a lot. Don't make any
too
suggestions.
much stuff. I don't want to give out too much stuff. I don't want to give it out.
All right, don't give it out.
All
All right, so that's it, guys. Until next time. Brought to you by what, Pete? Hit it up.
All
Shameless plug.
right.
Take it
Here
home.
we go. For the listening audience, if you're not listening on Spotify, iTunes, iHeart, everywhere you can find podcasts, you should be watching youtube.com/gettinsaltyexperience. Guys, please come on. You know this already by now. Give us the finger, take your little digit, and hit like, subscribe, share. The more you like, subscribe, and share, the more we can come out and visit to everyone. We want to go to Boston. We want to go to Jersey. We want to go to Texas. We want to go everywhere. So, come on.
We'll be in Philly for the Interschultz. I don't know if any of you hairbags are going to the Interschultz show in Philly in October. We will be there. Come hang out with us. You can buy us some drinks. You can bring your old lady with you. I don't really care. Whatever you want to do.
Dong.
We'll be signing all thongs gladly. And
Hey,
then,
you know
guys,
what I need to see one more time before you do that?
What?
I need to see the Chief Steve song one more time, bro. One more.
All right.
Give it to me.
all right, one more. And this is the new Chief Steve. And yeah, if you guys like, subscribe, and share, we'll be getting more of these. I'm Chief Steve. I'm here to inspect. That better not be fear on your breath. Line up in order. Dress right, dress. Go get a comb. Your hair's a fucking mess. Proper uniform is what I'm here to see. No getting salty shirts. They won't get past me. 'Cause I'm Chief Steve.
I like that one.
That's a
I
good
like
one.
that one. It is.
That's good.
All right,
Yeah.
fellas.
Somebody said, I think it was Jose said, flood lose emails tomorrow morning. You son of a bitch.
All right, so guys, also make sure to head over to Instagram if you're already on there. Check us out at Salty Dog Lit Inc. And that's where Lou really does his finest work, which is posting really amazing pictures, historical FDNY pictures, all that cool stuff. Plus, you get all the latest last-minute info on the show. And last but not least, of course, go to gettinsaltyapparel.com where you can get your old ladies box t-shirts, blankets, mugs, soon-to-be Arctic coolers, and everything else. I've seen the Arctic cooler mock-up. It's sick. I want one
Today. They came in today, so we'll be making them.
If you get a picture up, if you get a picture tomorrow, Cooper, I could get it on the website tomorrow.
Yeah, they're sick. They're so good. Last but not least, guys, if you need to email the show, gettinsaltyexperience@gmail.com.
Hit Lou up tomorrow. Excellent.
Thank
All right.
you, guys.
Till
Thank
next
you
time.
all.
Stay low and go.
All right, boys. We'll see you at the big one.
Shalom.